Is Trump really going to tariff the countries against his Sudetenland stunt? Yep.
President Trump escalating his push for the U.S. to control Greenland, now issuing a new threat to allies that stand in his way.
I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security.
For weeks, Trump has been turning up the pressure.
Dude, nothing to me was more, I guess, indicative or revealing or informative on why we're going for Greenland than looking a little bit into that one minerals guy who was on Fox News. Remember? The guy who a year ago did an interview in Greenland where he was like, yeah, I just have some interest. You know, there are many companies that have an interest in the mineral resources available here in Greenland. Business. And then, but what we saw was on Fox News, he got himself all primped up for the right-wing media. And he was like, the Greenlanders are tired of the oppressive boot of the Danish people. The wooden clog of the Danish people have for too long has pressed down on the faces of Greenlanders. And President Trump is going to finally liberate them from the you know, like this guy, this person whose only interest is monetary, gussying himself up as some kind of liberator because it aligns with his capital interests, you know? That's how it always plays out. Whenever you see Trump or any of these people, right? Like people say this is just Trump's idiosyncrasies. No, there are a lot of people who want the resources in Greenland, you know? They're just, the American people would have never gotten behind a naked corporate takeover of Greenland. Nobody would have bought that, right? Like, can you imagine George W. Bush being like, we're being told by the mineral companies they want us to take a look at their resources, and there's a reason they had to spend so long ginning people up to invade Iraq, okay? But Trump, by virtue of being a madman and also like really aggressive, they can be like, okay, here's our angle. They tried to do this through him over in his first term as well, but you know, calmer heads prevailed. Now here we are,
saying the U.S. will have Greenland one way or another, a territory long controlled by our NATO ally Denmark. And Trump refuses to rule out military force to get it. Now 6 other NATO countries, including Germany, France, and the UK, surging forces to Greenland in support of Denmark. Both Denmark and Greenland have made it clear Greenland does not want to be under U.S. control.
I thought Greenland was just a bit he was doing early on in his term. I didn't expect him to come back to it. It really is just down to, he tried to do this in his first term as well. It's just down to who he's listening to. I guarantee you he has like a close-knit group of 3 or 4 people, oligarchs, business leaders, whatever, who are telling him like this is necessary. And they might be saying it's for the money, they might be saying it's for national security, but it is 100% to those guys for the money.
Bipartisan group of senators now in Denmark trying to cool tensions.
There's a lot of rhetoric, but there's not a lot of reality in the current discussion in Washington.
All of this just weeks after the U.S. captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and Trump declared the U.S. is running the country.
I remember this.
And just one day after Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado gave Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, Trump now lavishing praise on her.
And I was very, very impressed. She's this is a fine woman.
But Trump still isn't back.
He couldn't remember her name, by the way, after she debased herself by presenting him her Nobel Peace Prize. When he talked about her the following day, that quote, the one where they just snipped out like 10 seconds, not even 10, like 3 seconds, he talked for like 20 seconds, didn't say her name once, just called her a woman.
Machado to lead Venezuela, even though her party is credited with winning the last election in a landslide. Instead, he's embracing Delcy Rodriguez, the acting president who is Maduro's...
Yeah, all right. It's a different subject, okay? One thing at a time. What I want to talk about is the tariffs that Trump is pushing.
I'm Andrew Dimber. We have a lot to get to, but we begin with some breaking news. President Trump posting on social media moments ago, he's slapping tariffs on NATO allies who are opposed to his plan to acquire Greenland. This as protesters take to the streets of Nuke, Greenland. Demonstrators there participating in a Stop Trump march this afternoon as the White House moves forward with its pressure campaign to try and take control of the island. ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins me now live for more on this. Selena, what do we know about these new tariffs, and what else did the president say say in this post.
Yeah, Andrew, so the president making this announcement on social media just moments ago, announcing that the U.S. is going to impose tariffs on these European countries that have rallied to the support of Denmark and Greenland over President Trump's escalating attempts to take.
For the sake of my own safety, I have to assume that there is a breaking point. There has to be a breaking point. There has to be a point. Like, surely this has to be one of those breaking points, right? Threatening, like imposing tariffs on allied countries because they won't happily allow you to invade another allied country. This is beyond, like, if they allow this to happen, and I'm being serious, this is worse than anything Hitler did that Chamberlain did appeasement for. Like, this is more out of the pale than the annexation of the Sudetenland or Austria. Easily, like 100%. If they allow this, like not only are we not learning from the lessons of the past, we are actively skipping over them.
Control of the Arctic territory. The president saying in his post that these tariffs will go into effect on February 1st and that he'll raise these tariffs to 25% in June unless, quote, a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. Now, this applies to Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland. Now, these are top allies of the United States. They are part of the NATO alliance. Remember,
I've heard of that.
Greenland is a territory that has long been controlled by Denmark, which is our NATO ally. These countries also have sent a group of troops to Denmark, again, in support, into Greenland, in support for Denmark and Greenland.
I mean, Vosh, aren't the same people Trump is allegiant to the same people the EU capitulate to? Yeah, it's one of the reasons why it pisses me off when people in the EU act smug that we're being ruled by Trump when they live in countries that are also being ruled by Trump, essentially. Like, I guarantee you, all of the political, like all the prime ministers and the people in parliament, whatever, across Europe, these people are aware of the fact that Trump is an insane person and that he needs to be stopped. But at the end of the day, they're cucked to the same corporate interests, right? Like Keir Starmer, Macron, all of them. They wake up and they're like, wow, that guy's crazy. And then they remember, like, if they do anything meaningful to stop him, they will suddenly find themselves in hot water domestically, and not because of Trump.
Now, President Trump has been ramping up his rhetoric around trying to take control of Greenland for several weeks now, and the president has refused to rule out the use of force, though the president is saying in this post that the attempt here is to acquire Greenland. But both Denmark and Greenland have made it very, very clear that Greenland does not want to be under U.S. control and that the territory is not for sale. In the post, the president goes on to say that, quote, these countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. He said that the U.S. is open to negotiations.
We can just take a look at the Truth Social post, I think. We have subsidized Denmark and all the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there's not a thing Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection, one added recently. Only the United States of America under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries, who are playing this very dangerous game, have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it is important that, in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation end quickly and without question. Starting on February 1st, 2026, all of the above-mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, the tariff will be increased to 25%. The tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The U.S. has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. Now, because of the Golden Dome and modern-day weapon systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire it is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the Dome, including for the possible protection of Canada and this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles, metes, and bounds if this land is included in it. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiation with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
With Denmark. But important to note here, it's unclear what kind of authority the president is using to impose these tariffs.
And there's also a group of senators in Greenland.
The same he's used to impose all other tariffs. That is to say, the complete concession of power to the executive.
Right now, what are they trying to achieve?
Yeah, there's a group of bipartisan senators in Greenland, in Denmark right now, having conversations with both Denmark and Greenland officials. I was just speaking to a senator who is currently in Denmark, and quite frankly, he says our allies are rattled. They're deeply concerned about what the president has been saying in the future of this relationship, of this alliance. Now, it's clear here that these senators are trying to lower and cool the temperature as the president has really been ramping up his threats. They want to try and reassure our allies that the U.S., not everybody in the U.S. is on board. In fact, polls show that the vast majority of Americans from both parties do not agree with the idea of taking control of Greenland.
Don't expect that to last, by the way. Republican support for the violent acquisition of Greenland has gone from basically non-existent to spiking upwards rapidly ever since Trump started talking about it. As is always the case, they don't believe in anything and will agree with anything their strongman argues they should believe in. So yeah, pretty dire. FYI, the Supreme Court still has not ruled on the presidential power and tariffs. Yeah, because they keep deferring the issue. They're putting it off as long as they can, probably because they're acquiescing to pressure from the administration. I still have no idea which way the Supreme Court's going to rule on that, because on one hand, some of the conservative justices have signaled that they're interested in ruling against him, and also the implications of them not ruling against him would be insane. But on the other hand, ruling against him would make Trump very, very, very sad, and I don't think they want that. The NHPM was seen smoking after meeting with Rubio that went poorly. European countries are now sending troops to Greenland to explore how they can defend the island. I think Europe might actually draw the line here. I really hope so, man. I really, really, really hope so. It seems unlikely to me that the president would be able to do a real military takeover of Greenland. For one, the optics on this would be insane. Like, I know we've said that about a lot of stuff, but like orders of magnitude more insane. Having like tanks rolling through the one town of Greenland. Like, it would look really, really, really bad. But moreover, I also don't think that Trump would be able to deploy the military to that capacity, you know? He would probably be able to at most deploy special forces, but they can only send so many people. How many hundreds of people would he be willing to send? Europe would have to fire. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass, man. In reality, nobody knows what would happen if we really did attempt to acquire Greenland. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I don't know, the EU sent 30 soldiers total to Greenland. Doesn't look promising. Yeah, because the purpose of those soldiers isn't to actually resist America, like militarily. The purpose of those soldiers is like, for one, it's symbolic, but also if they get killed, then that's, yeah, exactly, that's the term. Thank you, tripwire force. The idea being like, if you kill these guys, congratulations, right? Like it's a show essentially indicating that like this is the line, because to pass this line means you've essentially engaged in an act of war against these countries. I don't know, man. I don't know. They're dipping their toes in. No links allowed. You can make links allowed again. The Daily Mail reported 7 days ago that the military refused him when he asked them to make invasion plans. I would like to read more about that if possible. I would like to read more about that. My biggest concern is Europe fighting a two-front war with Russia and the US. You shouldn't be worried about that. For one, Europe isn't really fighting Russia, just Ukraine. And for two, in an actual war, America would decimate the European Union. Yeah. So don't worry about it. Because it's not the deterrent here is not whether or not the EU could stand up to both Russia and America. The EU could trounce Russia and would be trounced by America. The problem here is like broader destabilization. Depends on the theater. Assuming the theater was over Greenland. Typical American arrogance. Listen, man, there's a reason our healthcare costs what it does, okay? We do have a big military. I would like to know more about the military refusing orders to prepare for intervention in Greenland. I'd be interested in reading more about that. They won't. I kind of feel like they wouldn't. Still can't send link. Yeah, no mod has fixed the link ban permission, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. RIP. They both did it. They both flipped it. They flipped it on and off. I can't imagine the military taking orders to attack a NATO member. Yeah, I think it's one thing to get special forces to do an operation in Caracas. I cannot imagine the actual military. You might be able to get special forces to do work in Greenland. And that could be enough because we have a lot of those guys. But the actual military, the like real US military, I feel like basically I feel like the Pentagon would just freeze up, you know? There aren't that many loyalists there. I don't know. It's so unthinkable. It's so unthinkable. The Pentagon has been key jangling him. Holy shit, that's funny. Army chiefs trying to distract Trump from Greenland invasion plans as infighting grows. God, he's so stupid. I'm gonna crash out again. I seriously like can't stand the fact that the fate of the world rests in the hand. Like, I would genuinely rather America be ruled by like Nixon, Kissinger types. Like, at least they were half intelligent. Well, Kissinger was definitely smart, just incredibly evil. Nixon was addled for most of his. Like, I would rather the world be ruled by competent evil people than shockingly incompetent, like embarrassingly incompetent evil people. Nixon wasn't stupid, but he was paranoid and an alcoholic, and both of those things made him stupid. According to the sources, the president has asked the Joint Special Operations Command to prepare the invasion plan, but it's being resisted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff on the grounds that it could be illegal. You guys realize like the future of the world hinges on this, right? Like they have tried to oust the old guard at the Pentagon, but they haven't gotten rid of everyone. And it takes a lot of people in the bureaucracy to the bureaucracy is extensive. You know, a lot of people are involved in a war plan. It's not just like special operation. Well, this stuff makes my tummy hurt bad. The Pentagon has been diligently following illegal orders for a while now. Why the fuck would this be the line? Well, that's a really complicated question. The illegal orders the Pentagon has historically followed have usually been directed against our unambiguous geopolitical enemies, not NATO allies. Also, usually the illegal orders that they follow are, I don't want to say defensible because they're not. They're defensible if you have bad information or a bad worldview. But I don't think bad information or a bad worldview can really justify invading Greenland, right? Like, you need more than just a bad worldview to want to invade Greenland. There's more at play here. I guess I'm just, I'm in so many words, what I'm trying to say is it's a step beyond, basically. Wade Vosh, I thought you preferred the fact that Trump was incompetent and boorish versus Newsom. Your take on Kissinger contradicts that. Yeah, it totally does. I guess it's the difference between what I think is worse for the country and what I think is, what is more frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I guess I just hate everything. I guess I just hate both. Yeah, it's the question of like what's worse for the world and versus what's worse for my mental health. I suppose. I don't know. Lost this debate? Yeah, I kind of did. One source told the Daily Mail they have tried to distract Trump by talking about less controversial measures, such as intercepting Russian ghost ships, a clandestine network of hundreds of vessels operated by Moscow to evade Western sanctions, or launching a strike on Iran. Is that really less controversial? Intercepting Russian ships? That's a nuclear power. That's crazy. I would rather strike Iran than start intercepting Russian ships, man. We already do that though. Yeah. They're not literally Russia, it's the Ghost Fleet thing. I don't really know how it works. You mean they don't fly under the Russian flag? So I guess we could do whatever we wanted? Would you be in favor of a hard military coup over attacking Greenland? You mean a hard military coup in the United States? I am on the record in favor of a military coup in the United States and have been for the past year. I have been very consistent on this one. I think that rule from the Joint Chiefs of Staff would be objectively and easily better on every level than what's happening right now. Like that's not like that's an unbelievable. I can't think of a single general, not a single general that I know of that would be worse than this. Do I see you Fed posting? That's not Fed posting. Fed posting is alluding to or encouraging illegal activity, but I can't encourage the Pentagon to do anything illegal. They're not listening. I don't think they're probably listening. Serious question: how likely is nuclear war at this point? Don't ask that question. Don't even think about it. You're more likely to die getting hit by a car. All right. You can't let fear rule your life. That's your problem. You're letting fear rule your life. You don't want to let fear rule your life. Okay. Listen, if nuclear war happens, it happens. It's probably not going to happen. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all gonna be fine.